Once again, you welcome to my okay. So I want to welcome you to my class, and that is talking about using Google Colab for Python. Sincerely, we have actually talked about this for a very long time, and we will just continue today by what we want to do is just to do mathematics, do math in Python. So we'll put all what we have learned so far, we'll put them together. Uh, the last time we talked about what we talked about the last time. Okay, so Python beginner. Okay, this is our notebook. So let's just try and put things together. So this is our notebook. This is where we actually got into. Let me just rush through. We started with writing the first code in Python. So where we talk about a day, we write what is Python. Look at after what is Python, we look at running Python in code. Then we look at a print function. After the print function, we move as far as recognizing some important, that is important aspect of the Google Colab. So we started with making some sentences in form of comments. So we did that. We look at the indentation and white space, and we said this one is necessary for condition in loop, if, and the other conditionals. Okay. Then lecture 3, we look at basic terms that we can see in Python. So I want to emphasize this, that all these key terms in Python, once you are entering them, they will be printed in blue. How you'll be able to recognize them. For example, now when you type list, you can see. So you can see it is already because it's a what is a key term. So if you don't want, that means it's going to confuse the program. That is, Python is going to get confused with it because these are reserved words for that. So we look at all these key terms, look at what they mean, we look at error, we look at syntax, we look at program, we look at interpreters, and so on. Then we also talk about variables. So, and which I said variables can be imagined as container that hold different types of what, or different data, kind of data, and we look at different types of data types. Okay, we look at string, formally, which is specifically in form of text, integers, these are numbers, and floats, these are also numbers but with decimal. So then we look at a boolean, so where we have true or false in that. So we also look at the use of multiple um okay, markdown. So we look at that. So we are able to do this and do some basic mathematics using all this in this. So the last time we did basic arithmetic. So don't forget, when you are given a is equal to 10, and this one, when you perform all these operations, you can see your answer below it. So one very important thing that I want to point out to is that don't forget we are moving from 0 to hero. So what you will basically do is that wherever you are going to have your equal to, make sure that they are also in straight line. The distance from where you are defining it to where you are having your is equal to sign does not really matter, but just make sure that that is what you are going to maintain throughout this. You can see friend is equal to this. So we also look at when you said friend is equal to 10, and we want to print friends. So we'll say that can print friend, which is equal to 10. So when you now say, you now assume that your friend is equal to friends divided by 10. So it is going to see it, it's going to divide it by 3, sorry. So it's going to see that friends is now equal to 10. That is what is 10 times 3. So you can see it has performed this. So also look at this when you have cities equal to 55. So these are basic arithmetic that we have in Python, and we can see the way we have actually done it. You can assign different variables to different comments, assign variables. Cities, you can assume it's equal to this and that, and you can do some manipulation in terms of maybe you having Python will just see it as if you are dealing with numbers. Okay, so it's assuming that wherever you see cities is going to be 55. That's why cities is divided by 2 is going to be 55 divided by 2, and just as you can see it. So we also look at the order of operation in Python. It's just like we have it in board mass. We have it in mathematics as board mass once we are dealing with fractions. So that is board mass. So in this mood, this one is in paired mass, that is parentheses, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction, and so on. And we were able to see put this into practice. For example, when you don't have parentheses, you can see that this one is 2 plus 3, not 2 plus 3 to make it 5 balance 12. No, because multiplication will come before addition. So 3 times 6 first, that is 18 plus 2. That's why this one is 20. So the same thing is done here. You can see here too that we can also use this one for um, also for floats as well, that is for decimal as well. So you can see what we have here. Okay, and after that we also look at where you have parentheses. So you can see 22.6, this and that. You can see what we have all together. And another thing is when you assume when you define, you make your comment x is equal to 13.2, y is equal to 12. So when you now, wherever you see this sign, I told you, the sign actually means floor division. Then we are going to carry the decimal out of it. So that is one thing that you need to know about it. So then apart from that, we also did a lot of operation using this. That is, how can you what can you do when you are talking about detecting, or how do you convert from one variables to another, or from one data type to another. So that is why, or maybe you are confused, you don't know whether this one can be a float, whether this one can be this. If you want to know it, just print type, then you print whatever you want to do, you print it inside, so you'll be able to tell you what it is. So you can see that this one is a class of floating. So this is exactly what is called um, typecasting. We call it typecasting. We will see more of this when we go on, because there are two major ways whereby you can do typecasting. You can use what is called implicit as well as explicit conversion. We will see all this as we move on in this. Don't forget that we are moving from 0 to hero, and at the end of the 30 days, I want to believe that all everything that has to do with basic Python, you should be able to must have done that. Okay. Now, I also said something about the power of and the square root. If you want to get the square root is like it is going to be exponents by 0.5. For example, let's see again. I've given you an example, but let's see when you have x is equal to, let's say x is equal to 15, for example. And if you are to do, okay, so if you want to print, sorry, something is, I'm trying to arrange my keyboard. So if you want to print x, then double asterisk 0.5. Let's see if you print this, what is it going to give you? You want to be square root of 15. Square root of 15. So, and that is around the 3 point something. Okay, that's the square root. Okay, let's change this so that you'll be able to know, we'll be able to know whether we are wrong or not. Let's change this to 25, which is straightforward. So just print. So it's now 5.0. 5.0. So if, for example, now, if for example, okay, so that is a square root. Now the next thing that I also gave you an assignment on this. I think you will take time to do that in the comment section. Okay, so let's do another thing. Sorry, let's do another thing today. So today let's try and use shrink. Let's go to okay, let's say we want to combine combining numbers and variables, combining numbers and variables. Okay, if you want to combine it, so don't forget today's date. This is you can put this, today is 26 October, so that you'll be able to remember October 2025. Okay, what we want to do basically is to put, how can we put different variables together? How can you mix them together? So for example, if we have x is equal to 15, y is equal to 25, this is, we are dealing with multiple variables. If z is equal to 12, now under normal circumstance, if you want to print, you have to print, you can print let's say you print x, print x. Okay, so that is telling you that your x is equal to what? Is equal to 15. So you can do it that same way. Then you just change the word inside parentheses to y. So you change this to z. So if you are to print now, let's see, you can see it has printed it in form of a 15, 25, and this. Now there are other ways of doing this. You can as well do it this way. Print x, y, z. So that's really arranged it for you. 15, 15, 25, 12, and so. So what of if you now have it this way? Let's do another one. Let's say you have x is equal to 12, y is equal to 13, and z, let's say z is equal to 14. So if you want to print, let's say you want to print, x, y, z. So if we are printing this, okay, If you are doing it this way, print x is equal to 12, y is equal to 13, z is equal to this, and you have to print x, y, z. So this one is actually in function. This is in function. So what we do is I'm trying to see how we can combine them together. Let's use this. So, but what I'm trying to say here, what I'm trying to do here is that when you have, when you are having all this, x is equal to 15, y is equal to 25, z is equal to this, and you are asking your system to print x, y, z, it is going to print it this same way, or you can print it individually. You can print them individually. You print x, you print y, you print this. So I'm now trying to see the way we can do it so that it is going to be like this. Okay, now okay, let's say you have it this way. Okay, now let's say you have comma. You now have this one too. Sorry. 25. Okay. So if you are to print x, this is a 25. So let's see if this one go. Okay, you can see it has printed it for you this way. Okay, so that is that. Now let us see how can we combine numbers and variables together. All these are numbers. Let's see how we can combine variables together. Variables and numbers together. For example, if you say x is equal to 10, then y is equal to 5. So if you now want to print, you now say x is equal to x, x, let's have x by y. So if you have to print, you have to print z this time around. What is it going to be? Okay, that is 10 times 5, which is equal to 50. Now, this is very straightforward, but you have assigned what you want to do, what you are trying to look for, you have assigned it to another variable. Okay, that is that. Now, let us now see if you want to do another one. Let's say you have a price is equal to 20. Quantity, let's say the quantity is equal to 3. So don't forget what I said, that you have to make sure that all your this thing as a professional. So let's say this is your total. I think I have done something like this. So is equal to price multiplied by quantity. So, and you have to print total. Print total. We have done this. Print total. So, how is it going to be? Should give us 60. Okay. Um, that is one way of doing it. That is one way of doing it. So that is a very simple mathematics. Then I also gave you let us see, you need to, there's one thing that you need to take note of, that is inputs. If we are dealing with inputs, okay, let's go to the text. We also want to do with inputs. So, and when you are talking about numbers, you are putting them together, numbers. So this is going to be the foundation. This is where the foundation to be to design the calculator is going to be. We will see it. Design calculator using Python. Okay, together. Okay. So what we will do is that you will assume that, let's say A is equal to, okay, this is, we have to write this in a code cell or coding cell. Okay, say A is equal to number. Let's say it is an input. So under normal circumstance, the input should follow this pattern. Enter first number. Enter first number. So let's copy this format. Okay, so this, let's say your B is equal to inputs. So instead of first number, you change it to second number. Second number. Now it now depends on what you are dealing with. So now you can actually put, if you now want to do print, if you want to print this, let's say print a you print A by summing up A. So you print sum, which is going to be print A plus, sorry, A plus B. So if you say A plus B now, you will now, don't forget that you can now say that print, if you now say print print 3 comma 4, let's see if this one will work. Oh, this is a syntax error. Okay, we're going to do a syntax. So print, put it here, print in quotes sum is equal to quotes, the quotes, comma A plus B. Sum print, this should be in quotes, 0, okay, A plus B. So let's see what this one is going to give us. But you need to know, you need to know this you need to know these formats. Okay, our time is far going. Okay, so we have to look at this one again and look at what is actually wrong about it. Although this input and numbers together is not our focus for today, for this lecture. It's not our focus today. Our focus has just been this combining, when you have multiple characters, multiple variables that you want to combine them with numbers, you want to assign them certain variables so that you'll be able to do one or two things. So the other time will be coming, the next time will be coming, we will come into